We're back, baby. It's the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Fisher, Tosopoulos, DJ, Nikki, Snacks Crider, the Quan Cosby. Get your horns up, gentlemen. We have a very special guest today. Here we go. I'm gonna go through it all. Maxwell Award, Davey O'Brien Award, Manning Award, Chick Harley Award, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. I didn't even know they had that. That's dope. Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year Award. He's the two-time. This was actually, honestly, Colt, my most, not to give it away who you are, but the most impressive, two-time Walter Camp Award winner. The only person to do it since Archie Griffin. Very cool. Also Archie Griffin Award winner. Fiesta Bowl MVP, Holiday Bowl MVP, Alamo Bowl MVP, Big 12 Freshman of the Year. His number is retired for the greatest university of all time, no dispute. I won't go through the records because we have to get to the interview itself. It may be the coolest part of his football career. He was the QB1 for the Quan Cosby, which is pretty dope for us. He's a father to career in the NFL, husband, great dude. Colt McCoy joining the show. Colt, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. This is awesome.
What I need is I need y'all back in Texas. You need to go get Rachel, get the kiddos, get a cush job at the university, hang out in Austin, and we can go play some golf. So we need to work on that.
He needs some golf buddies.
I haven't, not playing this year. My body at this point in the season, like in Christmas, has never felt this good. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm getting out of bed kind of spry. Like I'm feeling good.
Do you think
you're still in Arizona? Have you been golfing over there?
Yeah. Golf. I mean, this is the golf mecca out here.
Yeah.
I mean, I say golfing. It's like you can slip in 30 minutes on the range while you're in between kid pickups and drop-offs. Throw a little podcast on, and then so playing golf like 18 holes, not very often, but it's just nice. Everywhere you look, it's golf courses. It makes you a little bit jealous with 4 kids, but I still get out there a little bit, and it's a lot of fun.
It's not just golf courses; it's some of the best courses in the freaking country. So
it's the golf.
I love Scottsdale golf, man.
Thank God Q's where he is, man. He would literally be there 24/7, hustling people for money.
It's hard enough. I'm in the office now. I came in, they were like, "What are you doing here?" It's hard enough for them to get me in this office in Austin, let alone Scottsdale. They're screwed. I would never be there.
Game over.
Well, he needs some competition, Cole, because I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but there's other certain former players that he apparently beats up on. So he needs someone. He needs someone.
A Ragpo, Griffin, DJ. They take some L's around it.
I mean, none of those guys play professional baseball.
That's true.
That's true.
Not even close.
We saw you on PMT the other day talking Arch. And you've obviously been very involved, in the university as that's I guess the beautiful thing about Texas. It's very welcoming to the alumni, and it's very welcoming and allows and wants people to stay involved. It wants people to stick and be a part of it. What have you thought about this, I guess, recruiting cycle, and thought about Sark and the culture that he's implemented this year? And there are any similarities you've seen between Sark and Mac Brown?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, obviously the landscape of college football has changed a bunch, right? Like just NIL and the portal and the transfers, and it just seems like everything is really pretty gray, not a whole lot of black and white. When we were in school, Quan had all the money, he didn't share. He comes.
Yeah, truth. I knew this was going to be great. Truth comes out, baby.
we got 1 meal a day from the NCAA, from school. I'm kidding. But I think Sark has done a really nice job. I mentioned this to somebody the other day. Like I said, Harbaugh and Sark have an edge. And my point is, like, those guys have coached in the NFL and coached at a high level in the NFL. And the NFL is a much more corporate world where, there's lots of transactions, there's lots of contracts, there's lots of, guys are on 1-year deals. Some guys are on, longer deals, but you're really across the board outside of 3 or 4 players. Everybody's on a 1-year contract in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And now that seems to be the case in college football, right? And so from my take, outside looking in, like I feel like Harbaugh and Sark, this is right up their alley. They've experienced this. They know this. I want these and these and these players, and I'm going to coach the team, and we're going to do it right. And the alumni have stepped in. The collective has done a really, really nice job. And, Sark's able to like put his staff together and coach and recruit and do what he does best and not have to worry about it. And I think Harbaugh is the same way because they know the game and they know what it's gearing towards. It's gearing towards the NFL, right? And I think that Texas, we sort of got lucky with that, like, looking back, right? And I think Sark has done a phenomenal job of building a team, building a culture. Like, the difference between us this year and last year is that we've won the close games and we've won the games that we're supposed to win. And, we had a few conference games at Houston, BYU at home, where it's like, you get up big and then you're like, it's a nail biter at the end, but teams figure out to win those games. And then all of a sudden, playing at Iowa State, playing Texas Tech, playing Oklahoma State, like you can see our team just peaking at the right time. And, for me, like I haven't been around the program that much. I'm out here in Arizona. I've been in the NFL for a long time. Like this by far has been the most fun team to watch from afar. And, I'm excited about the Sugar Bowl just like everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like I think Quan, you even said this is the most fun team we've had. And I don't think it's a hot take since you guys were suiting up, and you bring it, and it's something we discuss on our show, winning these close games. And I'm glad you threw the games after, because it's not like we won these close games and those other games continue to stay close and we continue to play in nail biters and eventually unraveled and let it catch up to us. We played in those nail biters. We learned from our mistakes. I saw an article today talking about how Sark adjusts and his in-game adjustments and his week-to-week adjustments and his ability. We were watching a game, against the Red Raiders, Oklahoma State Cowboys, and they did a trick play, and one of the guys I was standing next to, he's like, "Aren't you worried that they're not saving that?" Because we were up. Aren't you worried we're not saving that? Against Washington if we make it to the playoffs? I'm like, you haven't been watching, bro. You don't understand. He has one of these every week. This is his MO. He comes ready to play with new stuff every damn week. And it's really great to see us not only win the nail biters, but after we play those nail biters, get in there and take care of business. And I think, Quan has said, and I'd love to hear from you, Colt, how important it was for when you guys needed to show up and put a stamp on a game and really show the nation what you guys meant. Like, you guys delivered on that. And that really is a team that's ready to be a championship caliber team. What have you seen with these guys that reminds you of y'all's team that got there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we were fortunate that, by the time Quan and I got to school, like they had won 10 games a year for like 10 years. Right? The expectation was like, there was a standard. You showed up and you worked and you didn't want to let anybody down. You didn't want to let your teammates down, the school down, the coaches. Like it was this. It didn't matter. Like your goal was to win the state championship, win the bowl game, get to the national championship, right? Win the Big 12, right? Like, and that was proven. And so for us, like we just kind of jumped right in line with that. Mm-hmm. And we went. My first 2 years playing, we went 10-3, and it was like I didn't want to go to class. Like people were not happy. Like
that's why you didn't want to go to class.
It was like you let everybody down.
Yeah, which is crazy
because we had just won the national championship my redshirt year, and then you go 10-3, and it's like, man, like everybody hates us.
Jesus.
Now I feel like that's changing. Right. I don't want to say like Texas is back. No, I feel like there's a standard and an expectation now. Right. And it's starting to match up with like how the fans always see Texas football. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's been fun to watch. Everyone's engaged. Coach Sark is awesome at calling plays. Our defense figures it out. And we just, it's been fun to watch. And hopefully that lasts. Hopefully, like, they've built that back to where it is. I mean, think about we've been through 3 head coaches and coaching changes and recruiting cycles. And like, it's really, really hard to give time to a coach and to a staff to develop and, build exactly their vision of what they want. And thank goodness, like it's all worked out and we are where we are, and Sark has done a great job, and, we're in the Sugar Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not that pressure isn't high now, but I feel like back then when you guys were playing, so much pressure. You lose one game, you're out of contention. Now you can lose a game. Maybe next year you can lose 2 games, and you can actually make your way into the playoff. Hell, someone's going to lose 3 games maybe and still make the playoff because they win their conference, and that pressure, isn't there when it was with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, I 08 was better than 09. Like we were better in 08, like with Quan and like Jordan and our defense. 09, we lacked a lot in a lot of different places, but we figured it out, and we won some close games, and no doubt we would have like played well in the national championship, but like our 08 team like would have gone to the college football playoff, and like we were rolling.
I actually told Tebow when we were in Denver, I said, dude, we'd have kicked your butt, man. I'm just throwing that out there. And he brought his rings. I think I've told these guys that. I was like, oh, okay. I can't say anything to that, but no, I totally agree. And really, the leadership and across the board with this crew, man. I got a question, especially. I don't keep it. It's even with me being in Austin. I'm so dang. I got way too many jobs and I do try to give them their distance, but keep in touch with Jay Witt and a couple of the dudes with the QB fraternity, because clearly how you're under Vince's wing, and Vince was so good, and y'all have always been real cool. Do the guys like Sam? Sam was that dude. He's a great Longhorn forever and always will be. This Quinn, is there a level of communication, even as busy as you are, catching up to me real quick with those 4 kids, by the way? Even as busy as you are, do the guys reach out and at times say, "Hey, how you doing? What do you see this?" That type of stuff?
Yeah, that's been good, man. There's communication when there needs to be, right? Somebody has an issue or a question, or a lot of that happens in the spring. I try to get back for like a practice or 2, sit in some meetings. I haven't always been able to do that year in and year out, but we've had kids and travels and all that. But those guys, always have, my phone is available for them. Like and Sam was awesome, right? Sam played, but there's been a lot of guys play over. I've been in the league for 14 years, so it's like I've had a ton of conversation with guys who played, who didn't play. I think the biggest thing now is just it's like the landscape is different, right? Like the NIL has changed the game, and we're going to the SEC and like all the stuff that's out there. So yeah, certainly I've made myself available, all the time, and have some really good conversations and been able to give advice when I feel like I can. And but you also don't want to be pushy, right?
Right.
We all know the pressures of playing quarterback at UT. Like that's a given. So
that's a real thing.
Yeah.
By the way, I was saying, of course, this is like the 3rd damn time I've been on mute. But
and you never have technical difficulties, dude. Like, we never really have technical difficulties ever, which is hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's called user. It's kind of like my golf game. It's user error. It's not the club.
You're overcorrecting, Quan. You're overcorrecting, man.
I'm proud that you admit that, though, because you'll see people like I love watching sports where people like, or a tennis matchup, someone will look at the rack and it's like, come on, man. Like,
no,
you're the number 7 player, in the world. Don't be looking at the rack. We all know.
Right. But no, I was talking about the NIL area. I said, me and Colt got some money to go. We got some money around there that we need to go collect, dang it. But no, man, I am happy for the dudes and what's happening in that landscape. And really, man, it's so weird, and I know you're out there, Colt, but watch and pay attention, because we haven't even as a group talked a whole bunch about now that it's here and it's a couple of weeks away. I ain't gonna lie, it feels a little weird in Austin having the conversation, and I'm happy for them, and they deserve it, and they work their butts off. But it's cool to see, and we all feel that way, to see these guys work their butt off, be as close as our groups were, and to see it work out the way it did on every level, offensive, defensively, to see Rack talk, and Tex and Griff, T Sweat and Murphy and those guys, and to look out. And that's on so many levels, Texas have had the Jimmys and Joes. It's about development, and it's about them actually in the NIL era still finding a way to play as a team. And so that's what they've gotten a lot better at. And kudos to Sark and his staff for pushing that perspective.
I would say from like watching on games on TV, and it's like the interior play of our team is so much improved. Like offensive line, defensive line, like they dominate up front most games, and that hasn't been the case in a really, really long time.
Forever, dude.
Look at the results of that.
I mean, that Arkansas game, I think that was like such a turning point. We go to Arkansas and we're favored. We think we're going to go in and beat them, and we get manhandled in the line of scrimmage. And you see Sark turn around. Okay, Banks, Campbell. He starts recruiting dudes left, right, front, and center. We just brought in this 3-star kid, right? From this D.
Hey, don't hate on the 3 stars, bro.
No, that's why I don't. I don't hate on the 3 star. That's why I threw in Colt. Because here's why I don't hate on the 3 stars. Because Tavondre Sweat 3-star, Colt 3-star, Murphy 3-star. You have Jalen Ford is a 3-star. Like some of our best players, Burke 3-star. Like it doesn't.
Well, let's be real. The majority of Washington, who's in the playoff, who's undefeated, are 3 stars.
What does it matter? Like it matters about development.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It matters about development. Like, and that's what we're doing that. And like you saw that in A&M, they got all these 5 stars. Where are they now? Coach is gone and they're all gone. But I think he saw that in the trenches, and we completely fixed the trenches. And we brought in that. We have this 3-star kid coming in that I'm really hyped about, and you could give him any star he wants, but he's 6'4", he's 320 pounds. And he's the defensive player of the year in 6A in Texas. Oh man. Colt, did you ever consider like what y'all's experience would have been like in the transfer portal? Like how would guys have would you maybe have considered leaving? Like you were a redshirt freshman. I think that's a beauty. We can kind of get into Arch a little bit here. Like the fact that Arch isn't leaving is so great. And there's still like the rumor that Quinn's coming back. I mean, he could play his way into the draft in these coming games, but Arch is not going anywhere as of now. And he's going to stay for another year.
And I want to piggyback off this question a little bit because I was going to bring this up. We're losing Malik, but for Arch and for Quinn and for the guys coming in, Trey Owens is another quarterback coming in. Like,
love him.
What as a quarterback do you tell those guys in order to keep them to kind of keep their head in the program and to stay and not bow out anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all different, and I don't know what they're saying, but I remember when I can just go back to what it was when I was in school, and Coach Brown, always said, like, you're constantly competing for your job. Like there's going to be people, this is Texas. Like there's going to be people that come in that are going to want to play and they're going to compete with you. And like, I didn't feel safe at all until I was going into like my senior year.
Really?
Right? Like, people forget, like I had a couple bad bowl practices. I threw a couple interceptions that I shouldn't have thrown when I was a sophomore. And like, I split time my sophomore year in the Holiday Bowl and we still won the game. But I split time that game, right? And it was all because Coach Brown was like not playing around, and he this is a competition. If you don't want to play your best, and you're not playing your best, then we're going to put the next guy in, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how it's approached now. I know that I was always on edge in college. I think it's a great room. I think as a quarterback at UT, like when I was in school, we always got the top recruit, right? Jevin Sneed, Garrett Gilbert, like all these guys they're the 5-star number 1 quarterback or whatever. Yeah. Like it was common, right? And so I don't think you're scared of that. I don't think you are worried about that. I think you go in and you work and you play hard and you learn. And I think Arch is in a great spot. The best thing that ever happened to me was redshirting. I mean, I needed it bad. Like Arch is so much more mature and physically and mentally, like. He's been around the game his whole life. Like he's ready. I think, but I think you'll see much benefit from the redshirt year for him. And I know for me, that was the case. Like without the redshirt year, who knows what happens? I needed to get, I grew a couple inches. Like I hit a growth spurt. I had a front row seat to watching Vince Young lead, our team to the national championship, right? Like it was such a learning year. And it was invaluable. So I think that Texas, as far as the quarterback position, whether Quinn comes back or not, we're in great shape, right? Quinn's played phenomenal this year. You look at how he played last year to what he's done this year. Like just an overall grasp of Sark's offense. I think it's maturity, it's footwork and accuracy. Those things fall into place the more you feel comfortable with what you're doing. And I mean, it's night and day how he's played. And yeah, it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Dude, I
of
got
all-
actually a random question. Now that I'm back online,
Yeah.
I think it's the freaking weather. I don't know, but so not about the decision, because clearly the decision's made. I'm really fired up for our next year's schedule in the SEC, all that stuff. But I was in Destin, Florida when all this happened, and I want to know your initial thought when you heard about the move to the SEC. Because I ain't gonna lie, I pouted a little bit. I was like, "What the?" I was like, "We're in the Big 12. We played in the Big 12." I was a little weirded out by it. Now I'm fired up because where realignment is, going to the 12-team playoff, and what the residual effects after the move. But what was your initial thoughts when you heard that? Because I just didn't think we'd kind of hear it in our lifetime, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, I think Texas was ahead of the game, right? Kind of seeing what was going to happen to college football and being ready to make that move. Like I personally, I kind of thought we'd go to the Big Ten. That's what I had kind of had my mind on. But the landscape of college football is adjusting, and it's adjusting quick. Like I mean, very quick. And so the way that we were able to work out the contract and the details and the date and the time when we're going to move to the SEC, I think, again, Texas was ahead of the curve, and we're in a position now, and I think it's awesome, right?
Yeah,
great football. You see where college football is at now, and like you guys mentioned, you might slip up once or twice and still have an opportunity to sneak in the college football playoffs because of the competition, because of the level of play, all those things.
Or you might slip up no time. Sorry, T, I'll kick to you in a sec.
Yeah.
But you might slip up no times, like Florida State, and still not get in, which I think would be a big worry of mine with the way the Big 12 is trending. To be honest, with the way the football is trending in the Big 12 versus the SEC versus the Big 10, and heck, even look how the Pac-12 was featured this year, and no one watches their games. That is poorly televised television. The way the Big 12 was trending, I think that could have been they could have been the ACC. We could have gone one more year, beating the crap out of the Big 12, and then I'm not with the 12-team playoff. We're not going to get left out, but I think the way that it was going to be discussed was going to start being like the ACC. I really think that the caliber of play was nowhere near the SEC and the Big 10. That's my 2 cents. But what were you going to say, T?
Well, I would just throw on to that. I think Dion in Colorado rejoining the Big 12 changes the scope of the Big 12 and how they're going to be talked about and considered in the next few years, while the SEC and Big 10 remain, I think, the two powerhouses at the top. But
unless he keep winning 4 games, let's be real.
Right. But
he recruited on the line too.
He's second in recruits that they brought in the transfer portal. Doesn't guarantee that those guys are going to play and be great, but it does bring talented football players in the locker room. I keep going back though, because we're so excited. All 4 of us are, Colt, about where we've come this season. And Sark has talked on and on and on again about, it's not what we say about the culture. It's about doing it. It's about going through it. It's about winning those close games after losing those close games, right? It's then about stepping up when the limelight is on you and dominating a game like Josh was talking about earlier. And you talked about when Quan and you got to the program, the winning culture had already been established, right? But what was it from year to year that kept that culture, if there's anything that stood out to you guys? Because I think, we're heading into the SEC next year, presents new challenges. We might lose Quinn. We're certainly losing some players on the offensive side. I expect that A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, maybe JT, Jatavian Sanders will all be, picked in the NFL draft amongst numerous other players as well. So what do they do, or what do they need to do in this offseason that can shore up the fact that they can sustain this winning culture, if anything, that you guys can draw from your experiences from?
Yeah, I would say it's the players. I mean, coaches can coach. They're going to put you in the right positions. They're going to lead you, from the X's and O's. But it's the players who buy in, it's the players who lead, it's the players who, ultimately win the games. So I just think we had a good culture of leaders, of guys, And then, the older guys set the tone, and that's how it was. And I really feel like, they're close to being back to that form and, starting to win year in and year out.
I agree. And I even read a quote, and I suck at following recruiting, but it was a linebacker that we flipped from A&M.
Yeah, Ty Anthony Smith.
And what's his name again?
Money.
Ty Anthony Smith.
So Ty Anthony Smith said that in a nutshell. He said, man, I just, I was set over here, but the more I visit and the more I watch Texas, not only are they trending in the right direction, but the culture's following it. And so ultimately what you're seeing in the close-knit groups and the way they like each other, and today's time talk about it, NIL is different, realignment is different, conference changes, but social media and communication is different. I mean, these kids are in each other's DMs. They're recruiting, each other. We had to host. You had to come here. We'd host you, and then it'd work itself out or not. No, dude, they're recruiting as much sometimes as their coaches. You see Stewart, he knows Cook pretty well. I mean, there's so many ways that they're communicating and letting guys know. I mean, as we all say, there's no better mouthpiece than the guys in the program. And unfortunately, we went about 8 years of the guys in the program saying, pump the brakes. This place is not what you think it is, versus now, singing from the top of the mountain. So I think that's how you do it. And I think you do it in recruiting. Well, I think we went a few years of we just literally had a discussion about the stars that don't matter. And we went after that stuff. Now, very similar to Coach Brown. Coach Brown may not have been a first choice, but he was the right choice. Sark may not have been a first choice, but he was the right choice. And I think we're doing that from a player standpoint too. You talk about two-way boys on here. We're two-way, and I get it all the time. How in the world did you get recruited to Texas going to a two-way school? Coach, I'm sure you do the same. But Coach Brown, he would always get the best fits and the things that he was looking for in players, and that's why Colt, we're a part of one of the winningest 4 years span of Texas history, because it was the right fit, it was the right culture, it was the right leadership, and just all those things were aligned for us. So I think that's how they continue to do it.
And Q, you hit the nail right in the head. I mean, I saw on Instagram that Xavier Philosome, who flipped from Florida over to Texas, the 5-star safety, he was on Instagram Live, and then Colin Simmons joined him. And they're just going back and forth, getting all pumped up, and they're staying together. Like, if you want to win, come to Texas. And then Xavier said, "Are you going to be in early enrollee this year?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'll see you there." And so, like, they're already excited, like, getting this relationship going before they even met and been on campus. And this is just from a bird's eye perspective, from what we've all seen and what we've witnessed from your guys' era, is that you guys all seem so close still. Like, Quan, you're talking about how you were in Vegas with Rack and Jamal Charles and supporting Derek Johnson and like, you and Cole are always catching up, and Ship and all those guys. Like, I just feel like this brotherhood just has never been able to, dismiss itself. And I feel like I've seen that a lot with athletes that we've interacted with, where it's like, I don't really talk to my college buddies that much anymore. But this brotherhood just seems so pure and so like melted together. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with your culture.
Winning cures all.
Dude, you know what's funny about that? I actually
sadly, I can say that's what it is, man.
Does cure. But you know what? I actually take it to another level. You think about Colt 2A, me 2A, Ship 3A, Jermichael 3A. We had our core of 5A, 4A dudes. But when you grow up, in freaking West Texas, you grow up in East Texas, you grow up where we grew up, and literally everybody and their mom knows you and your mom and your grandparents and your brother and everybody else. You kind of bring that about it. You really come to school. And it's so weird to me to be in Austin and go to a UT with 52,000. And it felt so much like my championship teams in high school. And it really did. And the level that you support each other, get to know each other. Coach Brown did some cool things to help in that, because it's all kinds of things getting pulled at you. But Thanksgiving games, talking about what you're grateful for. Typically, it was guys saying for that guy, that guy, that guy, and all the above. So I think you see a lot more of that. Sark and his staff is very intentional. Now they're not getting as many 2A guys and 3A guys, but the game has changed from that perspective. But really, if they do, it's a cultural person and a cultural guy who can also play the game. So I think that had a big role during our days, and I'm telling you, man, it's wild to kind of sit back and watch these guys go at it because there was a time where I'd see one guy walking across campus. If I'm on it, now I see 7. And that's those little things like that people don't see factors into the fourth quarter and trusting the guy next to you.
Colt, do you still keep up with Jim Ned high school football? Are you still plugged in there?
Yeah.
We were texting Quan. We texted Quan the other day because my girlfriend's from Albany, and I was giving Quan a little state champs. They beat Mart in the 2A championship.
Yep. So back to back beaters.
But she said, we used to play Jim Ned all the time growing up. So do you still stay plugged in with that?
Yeah, I never lost to Albany.
Okay. So
let her know.
You can let her know.
Hey, by the way, I didn't
defeated against the Lions.
It's a different team right
She's
now.
a sweet girl. She's a sweet girl. She's catching strays.
My first ever football game, 7th grade, was in Albany.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
They have an awesome rock field, rock fence that goes around the state.
I'll be there in 2 days. So
That's cool.
Hey,
I'll take a photo. I'll send it to Quan. He'll send it to you.
I think we won 28-0, 4 tutties. I mean,
see, that's Albany I knew too.
Dude, that's the craziest. I mean, professional athletes, they keep. I mean, we have. I always go back because it was so bizarre. Like Miles Turner, I obviously a Longhorn. When we had him on one of our other shows, and we asked him his favorite moment in sports. He's like Little League baseball, 4th grade. I hit 2 home runs, and we're like, dude, what? How do you remember that? You played a million games since. Looking back at your own college careers, how do you guys feel about it? I know it's kind of a big series. It's a loaded question, but maybe how do you feel about it now versus how did you feel about it when you had just left a year later? How has that changed for you guys looking back on your accomplishments and what y'all had done?
Quan looks happy. He looks happy about it. Yeah.
Quan's happy about his.
Yeah, I would say looking back, when you are in school and you're faced with the pressure of playing quarterback at UT, that's really all your focus, and your focus is week to week. How do we win? How do we figure this out? And then you get a lot of accomplishments and it's great, but my focus was always on the team and winning games and winning bowl games. And I never really thought about the NFL. It's kind of like when I was in high school, I never dreamed I was going to get to go to college, being in a small town, small place. And so I think now having, some years separated and you look back at your time, I'm proud to play with guys like Quan and Jordan. And, I'm thankful that I had a coaching staff that really never changed on the offensive side of the ball, right? Coach Davis, Coach Brown. There's little things that I know that were very, very helpful for me. And then, we always carried ourselves the right way. We played hard, we won at home, and we were pretty successful all the way until the very last game when I got hurt. And, that you can't really, the games that I remember are the games that we lost. I do remember some fun moments and big games and winning on the road and those, but the ones that sting the most are if I could have just done that, if I wouldn't have turned the ball over there, if I wouldn't have been banged up and nursing a shoulder, we would have won, things like that are the things that I look back and wish we could have figured out. But I think that's just the competitor in you. But more than anything, the older I get, the more I'm proud to have attended the best university on the planet, right? My experience there, playing football there, representing the school. I feel like that not only was important to me at the time, but it's still important to me, right? That's a badge of honor to go to school there and play there. And I wear that with pride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's again, it was really great to hear you say that you talked to Sam, who was such a gamer and he wore the badge of pride, and he dealt with turmoil, right? You talk about how you were happy to deal with consistency. He dealt with some turmoil. Talking with Quinn, who's also look, say what you will about Quinn, he hit his development. Sometimes he misses throws last year. He's obviously, gotten a lot better this year, but he comes back from injury like no other, man. He comes back, even if he's not 100%. We saw him come back at TCU just to, try to help this team win. And he's a gamer, and it's great. I've seen video, recently of other guys and other programs who are successful. Both guys. There we go. Both guys. That's what we're talking
What's
about.
up, buddy?
Future Longhorn right there.
The future.
What's up, baby?
What's up, buddy? Hug him.
Hook 'em.
Let's do this.
Dude, when you're talking about Sam, and I know you're going on that, but I'm like Colt. There's some guys who left. Shane Buechele, love Shane.
Yeah,
one of the coolest kids.
Busted ass.
Another, a guy that we love to death. David Ash, unfortunately, had the injuries.
Yeah.
But there's so many dudes that have come through who just get it. They're Texas kids. We love them. Rest in peace, Even Sneed. He ended up leaving after Colt won the job, but still, good guy that kept in touch with. So it's interesting that even the guys during our time that left, it was reluctant. The culture was in such a good place that they did what they had to do for their career, but it was never hard feelings. And
It's like Malik.
That's what we're going to have with Malik. I think it's exactly. I honestly was reaching out to, I can't say this publicly, but I guess I was like, Baylor, y'all better go get him. Keep him in the Big 12. I don't
Hey, double agent. I knew it.
That's a Mark kid right there. Yeah, that's.
Hey, we're leaving y'all. Y'all need to go get him. He likes this state. So
he bought in too, though. Like he came in. Like, was it pretty? No, but he came in and did what he had to do, and he is such a massive part of why we're here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I love that Sark was one of the most vocal coaches about saying, hey, these kids should be able to stay through the bowl game, because if they were a part of something and they gave their all for a program,
which he did.
That they should be able to be with the team, and that the portal maybe could open after bowl season was done. Right.
It makes all the sense in the world, for them to have to do that before. And again, there's the ones who are going to get in it regardless. And then there's that next level of ones who are like, listen, I have to do what's best for my career in this setting, this climate that we're in. But I love the burnt orange. You saw in his message, I'm going to be a Longhorn for life. And that's when it's disappointing that they can't make their decision. And if them and their coach are willing to let them play or be a part of it, that they can't. So it's a wild, like I think Coach said it a million times, it's a very different time. But for the most part, just super exciting that we're in the mix and all the above. Before we even go into your favorite moments, so Colt, you're in Arizona, 14 years. I've been telling you to come back to Austin for a long time, but you had to do what you had to do, and it's a dang good job. Now the little man's right there. What's next for Colt? Now, certainly play more. You don't need to work and all that. Hang with the fam. That's the clear one. But what's next?
We'll see, man. I think it's been a pretty big blessing to have like this fall, like with my family and kids, and to kind of process and think about. I was hoping to jump back in, but my elbow just does not feel great, and kind of dealing with that. But I'm also in a really good place, like mentally, and I look forward to kind of maybe staying in the game a little bit from on the media side, maybe some broadcasting, and I've kind of dabbled in that a little bit. Like maybe there's an opportunity there, but I'm also looking into business opportunities and getting back to Texas, and got a lot going on kind of that side. So not put my finger on anything yet, but just excited about getting back to Texas at some point, and spending time with my family and kids, kind of buying back some of the time that they've sacrificed for me over the last 14 years, and see what's next.
Dude, I got to say that two things to that. One, I have one sports picture in my house. And Rachel gave us one of our time, and Stacia let me put that one in the house.
Nice.
Other than that, in full transparency, when I heard about all of it, clearly I shot you a text, but I dealt with that, man. You're going to workouts. You're doing this. Having a family with 4 kids, and this is what a lot of people don't know, man. You're having these workouts. You're having to relocate. I always want your career to go as far and for as long as it was, but as a friend, I was like, golly, I hope you don't take half of these jobs. Yeah. And because it's dude, your family's there, and you're enjoying that time. I actually played on 2 teams where my family was in Texas, and it sucked. And so I'm super pumped that you got to chill with the crew, and I know Rachel and the little ones appreciated that.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Again, I have lots of opportunities, lots of calls. I just at the end of the day, like just my elbow didn't feel great, and really just kind of living in the moment, like excited about what's next. So yeah, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Awesome,
Right,
man.
fellas,
Well,
we're
we're ready.
question.
We're ready to rip it, man. That was great, Colton. Obviously, we're pulling for whatever you got next. You got us rooting for you. T, you kick us off with you kick us off with the 2-minute drill, and then Nick, you take it after him with the rest of the questions.
Yeah.
Who, me?
No, T.
Oh, Toss, right?
Not Q.
yeah,
Not Q.
yeah.
Sorry, not you.
Thank God.
Nikki's got him ready to rip, but Toss has a first one.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to. I mean, you played 2 years in Arizona with Cliff, and I was just going through your NFL career. This is just as an aside. There's so many Big 12 guys that were on rosters with you. I imagine some of those conversations were a lot of fun, whether they were in the quarterback room or elsewhere.
I'm sure he talked some crap to you.
I mean, how about Brandon, who you probably you played with and against, right?
Yeah.
That I can imagine was a lot of fun, John, between y'all two guys. Is there something that we don't know about Kyler Murray that you feel like people should know? Because, as Texas fans, obviously he tormented us playing at OU, but he's a young guy who catches a ton of flack from the national media. And I didn't know if there's something that people miss being in the locker room with him. And obviously he's a tremendous talent, but I don't know. Just wanted to throw that.
He is a ridiculous athlete, right? Like, just like fun to watch because it's like I'll never be able to do that. kind of the same feeling I had like watching Vince Young for a year as a redshirt freshman. Like, I'll never be able to do that. Like, I got to figure out what my strengths are, but I won't ever. It won't ever look like that. And I think Kyler catches a lot of heat. He's an ultimate competitor. When he steps inside the white lines, like it's go time. And he works really hard at his craft. He's coming off a knee. He's played pretty good over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's a new offense. It's a new fit. It's new coaches. It's a new front office. Like there's a lot of new there, and he's kind of navigating his way through that. And coming off injury. So I still think he has a bright future ahead of him. And, I spent 2 years with him and got to know him very well. I'll always pull for him.
I'll tell you what, and Colt always is ultimate class act, but he should have taken that baseball money. You see Shohei Ohtani, bro, what he should have done is went to the A's. And he would have got some guaranteed.
Yeah, but Vegas.
He'd be in Vegas right now. Yeah.
God damn, dude, it's crazy. I can't. It makes you vomit. But
was that ever discussed at all in the locker room? Like, hey, like you giving a shot to maybe go back to baseball?
I know he could do it. He's that kind of athlete. He always wore like Oakland A's hats or stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
I think he always do if they gave me $4 million.
He always did it enough to let everybody know that it was an option.
Yeah.
But he's committed to football. He's a competitor, and they're going through a tough year this year. But I imagine he'll respond.
Yeah. All right, Nick, you take us away. 2 minutes drill.
So these first couple questions are in the same vein. So I'm going to start with who are the top 4 running backs in Texas history?
Ooh,
in your opinion.
Earl and Ricky, Jamal. That would be the 3 that come to mind. And then after that, dude, like there's been so many good ones.
So tough.
Like, to be honest, I'm not saying this guy is the best, but I will say that like the MVP till he got hurt was Brooks. Like, he was like the X factor. Like, if they needed yards, like he grinded them out. And then we've put a bunch of guys in the league over the last few years, right? Like anybody else?
Foreman. You got Bijan, you got Foreman, you have a lot. Well, we had my man from Heath.
Roshan, yeah.
Oh, Roshan. I mean, we had a lot. We have some good running backs roll through there.
Yep. And obviously Said too. Said B. Obviously is
Said B. Like I didn't get to play with Said. But
Oh, that might be my 4. No offense to any of the other ones.
I love the mention of Brooks, man.
Ricky, Said, Jamal would certainly.
Brooks carried the mantle.
Brooks and Bijan would be they'd be What do you get when you're just out on the
Honorable
outskirts?
mention.
And honorable mentions.
Yeah.
All right, who's your Mount Rushmore of Texas players? I'm throwing you hard ones. So 4 Mount Rushmore of your Texas players.
Oh my gosh! Like of my time or just like forever?
Just like all time.
I mean, again, you gotta put like Earl and Ricky in there.
The Heisman's.
You know, you gotta put Vince. I'm talking like all skill guys, but there's always big guys.
Street. I mean, there's so many dudes.
Street never lost a game.
I was talking to Metcalf this morning, and he was like, "Oh,
great dude. Metcalf's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Humble answer, I'll say the least.
There's a lot of guys, man.
All right, I'll start throwing some easier questions at you. Who's your funniest teammate you've ever played with?
At UT?
At Texas? That's a good question.
I used to just love the banter in the locker room. Like we had a lot of funny dudes, but Chris Obanaya would kind of rile everybody up. And he would ask like the right questions and get like some hilarious responses from guys. I mean, everyone has like a little bit different personality back in the day, but like Jamal Charles is so funny to me.
I was about to say JC was funny.
I'm a Sweet is funny to me. Man, there's a bunch of dudes. Like I loved all the walk-on guys. Like they had front row seat to like everything that was going on, and like if you became boys with some of them, like all they did was make fun of all the other players.
Pretty much.
Hilarious.
So it's like it just
Chris Whelan.
We're the comedic relief. We're the tackling dummy and the comedic relief.
It's always entertaining.
Yeah.
All right, who's your most underrated teammate you've played with at Texas?
I would say, the guys that I played with, my last 2 years, the offensive line guys from like Chris Paul and Charlie Tanner, Adam Ulatowski.
I was thinking of Yuli. The first thing that popped in
guys, they're skinnier than me now, and somehow they played, college football in the trenches, right? And we weren't ever just like extremely dominant up front, but we held our own literally every week. And a big reason was, those guys were smart. They used their leverage right, and those guys were fun, and definitely not talked about very often.
Yeah.
Right? What you hear is like, oh, Texas didn't put out an offensive lineman in the NFL for like 10 years, from like 2007 to whatever. I'm like, yeah, but like those guys were gamers. Like those guys figured it out, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Who's one player that you would want to take from this Texas team right now and put him on your Texas team?
Yeah, Sanders right away.
Yeah.
I thought that was
JT
an easy answer for him.
That was easy. I thought maybe you would say that, but then I try to like answer that from your perspective.
I mean, but then if you think about it, like that was kind of the one thing that when Blaine Irby got hurt, like the tight end position, we ended up spreading it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we adjusted, right? Having Quan and Jordan was like a luxury, but had we had a tight end, and been able to like get in some different personnel groups, it would have been a big factor for us.
Mm-hmm. Most quick answer.
Best barbecue in all of Austin.
Ooh.
So many.
Hold on, time out. Is it in Austin or kind of Central Texas? Because that's
Austin.
Okay, because I'm talking Snows. There's a lot of them.
Because there's a place in Martin that's really good.
Best barbecue in Austin, like right now, the place that I probably frequent the most is probably Terry Black's.
Easy.
Like, really good. I mean, I love Franklin's too. But the convenience of
not Rudy's.
Like
Rudy's
good. You got a Rudy's Cup in Cali? Do they have Rudy's out there?
No, man. I brought this back with me.
I love Rudy's. You guys know my Rudy's story, right?
No.
So it's going into my senior year, and it's Thursday night before the Saturday game, and I'm sitting in the compliance office begging not to get suspended for the first half of my first game of my senior year because I took a picture with a Rudy's bottle. I paid for my meal.
Oh my
You
god!
paid for your meal and they still did that?
The manager asked me to take a picture. You know, they put those pictures on the wall
Yeah.
with the Rudy's
Yeah.
bottle. Like, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And somebody said that I took a picture and got a free meal. And like, I'm literally begging compliance to like not suspend me for the first half. Like nobody knows that because we couldn't get anything. You like if somebody gave you a quarter, you were going to get suspended.
Dude, I'm about to say now you get a check for that.
Oh,
You get a lot. You get a fat check more than a
Rudy's
Nick
for
Scott.
life.
yeah, but I love Rudy's. Rudy's is
Yeah,
fantastic.
Rudy's.
There's actually a Rudy's here in Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
Hey, there you go.
Worldwide. All right. What's your favorite
What
Mac
Rudy?
Brown quote?
Favorite what?
God.
Mac Brown quote,
Q, you can answer this too.
or like something that he like left with you.
He left a lot. I mean, most of the time people don't understand that, like, how hard he was on you. Like, you get behind a closed door, like, you're getting ripped, right? Like, so the expectation was high, and he always put his arm around you. Like, he knew how to push you to your limits, right? Man, I would say like every year we sort of had a theme. You know, sometimes if you put on a wristband, he would put on some shirts, or whatever. But I just always loved the fact that like I would get in a situation, a game, second half of a game, like you're trying to win, and he was always the calmest guy on the sidelines. And you know, one of the things, I don't remember if it was our freshman or sophomore year, you know, he used to walk around saying, "Take that aim, just take that aim, just go do it," you know, and like. And for me as a quarterback, I just was like, fine, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lock in. And like, you know, I know, you know, that's a cliche, but at the time it was like a calming sort of thing that he used to always say. I don't know if it was our thing. I don't know if it was a team thing, but it was just like, hey, I trust you. Go out there and like, let it rip.
Oh, that also, I mean, as Texans and Hunters, and there's so many things where it resonates. You're like, yeah, it is that.
Right.
Just kind of execute that piece of it. And for me, it's a couple of pieces. It's clearly the don't let this be the best thing that ever happened to you in the national championship game. That's in a whole nother world of its own, considering all the context. But personally, very personally, it was, if you ever want to come back, you have a scholarship. The best thing ever, and he lived up to it. I didn't touch a football for 5 years, and called him again, and baseball body and all went and came back in 05, and it was like
baseball
Coach
body is
said, one of the
different.
best decisions ever made.
5
I'm glad
years.
he did.
Yeah, right, dude. 5 years is ridiculous. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's wild.
That's wild, dude.
Couple more free quote.
Come on, there's only a few of us that could do that. You know what I mean?
Kyler Murray. Like that's it. Kyler.
What is your favorite Quan Cosby moment?
I mean, there's a ton. Like I mean, everybody talks about the Fiesta Bowl catch and the game winner, which was awesome. I vividly remember a play. We used to run, like, it's my freshman year, and Quan's playing the X receiver, and we're playing Oklahoma State. And we ran this. We have this play called Menu 2, which was like a glance backside by Quan for single high looks. The concept, the side of the progression versus any shell look is to the front side. It's like an option route by the slot receiver, mandatory outside release go ball by the outside guy, and a flat route. You know, so you pull the flat player and you kind of option route the hook player. And so Oklahoma State was playing a lot of cover 2 that game, and we had hit some hole shots to Quan. And Quan was like, "Man, Menu 2, I'm wide open." And I'm like, "Dude, it's cover 2." He's like, "Throw it." Like, there's a big hole right there. So sure enough, we call Menu 2, Tampa 2 look, and I just try to hold the hook player with my eyes, and I fire back, and I throw the glance. He's wide open. He catches it. I kid you not. Like, big play in the game. I come off the sidelines, and Coach Davis is like, "Put the headsets on." And so I'm like, "It's cover 2. We don't throw the glance backside." Right? And I'm like, "Hey, like, we can talk about this after the game. I'll tell you what happened." Quan and Jordan were special to play with because they, you know, there was routes on paper, and then there was routes that got open, right? And they always understood how to get open. And that's an art. And, you know, it was fun.
Small town thing too, and the ship was receiver, but playing quarterback and just trying your best to be on the same page as Colt and the way we played. And I will say that as an old man, kind of armchair guy now, I was like, we got a lot of Madden players, are great players, but they don't know the game like I feel like we did in our time. And so you can make truly not in game, you can make series adjustments, and we did. And we go off and be like, listen, he's playing this, and it was so dang fun being able to do that and move to the Y, move to the X, move to the Z. So no, right on. I remember when I laughed when you said that because I knew exactly what was coming up.
Hearing y'all's context of like Colt being a freshman and Quan coming back after not touching a football for 5 years and being the older man, like
I'm
sure there's like
years. Colt's a freshman and I'm 23.
I had to listen to him. I had no choice.
Colt, we got one more for you, but first, Quan, what is your favorite Colt McCoy memory?
Oh man, like you said, dude, we have so many times. It was really for me actually. I grew up in a small town, so there's two of them. One, it was driving to Waco, his now amazing wife, and dropping him off in Baylor because she's a Baylor girl, and my little daughter and hanging out. That was always cool because now that they have 4 kiddos, phenomenal family, that is off the field. That was pretty fun, and talking ball and getting on the same page. But really for me, it was him winning the job. I mean, Colt's humble about it, but it wasn't. I mean, he was up against a 5-star dude who had every fraction of the tools of a 5-star dude, but he worked his butt off to win the job, and the rest is history. So it was all the way back. And then I came back the second time in the same class, Lamar, all the above. So yeah, those are easy for me. The football piece of it, we worked hard enough, and that was icing on the cake. But,
yeah, that's right.
The rest of it was really what it was about.
This is the last question, Colt. Every guest gets this who comes on our show. What is your favorite memory as a Texas Longhorn?
Oh, man.
Playing or just anything, dude.
Yeah, it could be you now as a fan and anything. You're Longhorn for life.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. My favorite memory as a Texas Longhorn. Man. I would say just like, you know, taking so much pride in like winning home games and like performing and all that. Like, you know, my senior year, like last game of the year, you know, there's chances to like break records and throw for crazy amounts of yards. I think we might have been playing Kansas, and I think, you know, Coach Brown pulls me off the field like randomly, like late in the game, and like in the middle of a drive, and just sits there and lets like me get a standing ovation.
Wow.
And I like, you're so locked in, you know, like one of the things I always did as a player is I would come on the field and I would, you know, pregame right before kickoff, I would just kind of look around. I would look everywhere, like all over, like stadium, fans, on the road, at home, and kind of just take a breath, try to take it in. And then that's it. Like you can't look at that anymore, right? Can't get caught up in anything. And so like, that was the first time I ever in a game, just like looked at the stadium and looked at the people and everybody's standing, we're winning and we're going to bowl game. Like we're number 1 in the country, whatever we were. And it's like, man, like I felt a little bit sort of, I was so humbled, like felt a little bit awkward that like, I don't like this moment. Like you guys don't need to do this for me. But then that was it. I came off the field, I shot the cannon, we won the game. And I just remember going back to my locker thinking like, dadgummit, like I'm never gonna do that again. Right. And that was a sweet deal that Coach Brown, I don't know if it was planned or not, but how it happened, that was pretty special.
It's like
Coach Brown had a sixth sense about all the right things. It was kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you did that at the perfect moment. How? What? You have kind of a lot of things to deal with too. But going back to the speech after the Natty, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Your first national championship, that's what you said? And it was so right and so perfect. And so that was
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's something that I just, you know, as you asked me, I remember like there's a lot of big games played there, a lot of fun. I mean, dude, like awesome, but that one sticks out.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy you say that, and then going back to like what we have going on now as a team, Sark putting Brooks back in the game, right?
Yeah.
In the Big 12 championship. That's like that it just reminds you of that, like the change in culture, a coach who cares about his players and knows and is not leaving a single stone unturned, is covering every inch of what he has to cover. That's what a leader of men really is. Colt, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man.
As always, enjoy the holidays. Q, happy early birthday, Q. To you, man. We're birthday buddies. And thank you for joining. Always great to talk football with a former player. And we'll see you guys next time. Horns up,
man.
talking
Merry
Texas.
Christmas to y'all. Colt, best to the crew.
Merry Christmas.
Tell them hello.
We'll do.
That's it, baby. Horns up, talking Texas podcast.
Let's go get a win, man.
Let's get a win. Let's get a natty, baby. Fisher, Tosopoulos, DJ, Nikki Snacks Crider, the Quan Cosby, and number 12, Colt McCoy. We'll see you guys next time.